What do we mean by implementation science? When we think about traditional descriptions or illustrations of the translation of new knowledge into policy and practice, we often hear talk of the translational pipeline. This idea that knowledge flows in a linear way from basic science and discovery research through to clinical trials and eventually into mainstream implementation in health services delivery. And we hear talk of translational gaps, often gaps between basic science and clinical trials and between clinical trials and routine implementation. But anyone who's tried to implement a new piece of evidence or some new research into practice or policy knows that the process rarely happens in that neat, linear and rational way. Rather, it's more like a tangle of interrelated factors that influence the way in which implementation and translation actually happens. And that really is the essence of implementation science. It's about understanding the factors that can act as barriers or enablers of implementation, knowing how to assess for them, how to manage them, and how to use that information to design better implementation projects and better implementation research studies. So those are the types of issues that we will explore at the webinar in a couple of weeks' time, looking at what we've learned from implementation science over the last 15 to 20 years, how implementation theories, models and frameworks can be applied to guide implementation and implementation research. So look forward to discussing this and related issues in the webinar.